I hope you're listening to me, young President Ibrahim Traoré. If you take the money from China, if you take too much assistance from Russia, if you take too many handouts from India, you become their slave. Russia don't give a damn about Africa. Russia don't like Africa no more than China. And China don't like African people no more than the United States. Everybody in Africa who is not a black African is an invader or the descendant of one. I said everybody in Africa who is not a black African is either an invader or a descendant of one. I said everyone in Africa who is not a black African is either an invader or a descendant of an invader. Do not sell off your corporations. Do not sell off your minerals. Give nobody exclusive rights to your mineral resources. Let's look at Burkina Faso. You want to know why the Chinese and the Russians are so interested in Burkina Faso? Burkina Faso has gold. Burkina Faso has zinc. Burkina Faso has copper. Burkina Faso has manganese. Burkina Faso has phosphate, limestone. Burkina Faso has diamonds. Burkina Faso has bauxite, nickel, and uranium that they need for atomic weapons. Not only that, Burkina Faso is one of the world's largest producers of cotton.
So what do you think is going to happen?
Well,
because, you know, they've tried to assassinate him like 13 times already.
Yes, that's mostly the French, CIA as well. I think because of the outpouring of love and support that he got on April 30th, keep in mind, no other Pan-Africanist, even the great ones, have had that type of a public demonstration in their support before Ibrahim Traoré. And that's because, so I think that that demonstration 4 days ago really, really, really is going to make Donald Trump and the other allied forces think twice about what they do and how they come at Burkina Faso, which means they're going to have to use somebody within the inner circle. And we are Africa. If Mandela doesn't get released, when he got released, I believe black people would have took South Africa back. And that's why a lot of South Africans don't see Mandela as a hero. They see him as a distraction from the liberation agenda that was already in play.
Wow.
It took a century for black people to really see that Garvey was on the right path all along. And that it's time for us to go back to that path. It's the only solution. If we're going to rise as a race, we must rise together everywhere in the world.
I'm going to ask you a two-edged sword question here now. Which one of these two people that run this election you think would be best able to wake up black people out of them slumber if them win the election? Which one of them you think say, if them win, black people will realize how weird a situation them find themselves in now?
I would prefer.
One of the main speakers is Umar Johnson. He will be here on the 21st, and we have him online here. Blessed?
Blessed, Brother Muta.
Oh, you know, man?
Blessed. All is well, my brother. Glad to hear your voice.
Well, I know to say you're going all over the place. You're from the west coast to the east, south coast of Africa here. I mean, what's happening there?
Well, black America is under siege. As you know, we're dealing with police genocide on a level we haven't seen in probably about 60, 80 years. And so African Americans right now are really scrambling for solutions. Many of them don't want to accept the fact that America has never really been interested in having the black man and woman in this country. Many of them have been duped by the whole Obama facade, and now many of them are beginning to wake up to the realities of what the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey taught in Pan-Africanism and, of course, repatriation.
All right, we see today the DOJ, that's what them call themselves, the Department of Justice, come down upon the Baltimore police force and say them is racist. This is the federal government now will label them police in Baltimore as racist, which black people they don't see that already. And how you think that are going to pan out now, given the atmosphere we are going now? How you think that going to pan out? You think say there could be a better police force in Baltimore, given that Baltimore have a very large amount of African people, eh?
Oh, Oh, without a doubt. Baltimore is one of the chocolate cities. We often refer to Washington, D.C. as Chocolate City, but I would say Baltimore is the real chocolate city because they gentrified Washington, D.C., so you don't have as many African Americans there as you used to. But in Baltimore, we are still pretty much concentrated in that city. But it's ironic because on the one hand, as you mentioned, they've identified that the Baltimore City Police Department is racist, as are most police departments in America.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they did not find any of the police involved in the Freddie Gray case
guilty. They'll never find him. Everybody get off. Everybody get supposed to interview Umar Johnson. That's amazing, man. That is like the FBI man tell us that we should name they do something terrible, but him now go really prosecute her.
Exactly.
Hillary Clinton is like, okay, she did something wrong, but we're not going to prosecute her. She lied to the people, but she never lied to us. So, that make her all right. All right. You have something to say?
Oh, yes. I was going to just add that the reason why none of these police have been found guilty of criminal negligence, going all the way back to Rodney King. I mean, we've been dealing with this for 25 years and longer with hardly any police ever being prosecuted. And that's because you cannot hold the police guilty for murder during the course of a war. So, in other words, America has declared war on black people. And so, in a war, the police are responsible for eliminating the enemy. So you cannot send a soldier to jail for carrying out their lawful responsibility, which is the elimination of African life.
All right, you have been on record saying that black people love to fall in love with politicians and almost make them almost deify them. And you was mentioned that in relationship to Obama. I don't know if you remember saying that. You remember saying that?
We drunk the Obama Kool-Aid, Baba Muta. We drunk the Obama Kool-Aid. I saw it coming. See, in America, and this is probably true globally because we see it in almost most places, black people vote for politicians, but they don't finance the politician. So they believe that because they voted for the politician, that the politician is obligated to carry out a black agenda. But what they fail to realize, if you don't finance the politician, if you don't keep them politically, financially honest, if they are being financed by white money, if Obama is being put in office by the white Democratic Party's money, no matter how many black votes he got, he's going to be loyal to the hand that paid for his success. Which means that one of the reasons that we find so much corruption and negligence of black people by black politicians is because the average black politician is put in office on white finance campaign money. Until that changes, until we start financing our own candidates, every black politician will always betray his people and always abandon the black agenda until black people wake up to the reality that voting is not as important as financing the candidate.
Yeah. That is a good example again is Baltimore, where the most of the people them on the top is black people. But yet still that racism has continued for years without abating. Even though you have black this, black that, black mayor, black whatsoever in that part of the earth. It's amazing that black people is in that situation. And I tend to want to agree with you. Because it is not their money that is turning, black people money is turning these politicians. Them can't do nothing about it. Them just can't do nothing about it. So we're in a dilemma. So, all right, you will be here on the 21st. You will be here, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, definitely. And I'll probably be coming in, Baba Muta, about a day or two earlier, so I'll already be there before the 21st. But definitely, I will be there on the 21st to honor the greatest African leader of the 20th century, probably the greatest African organizer in modern history, in His Excellency, the Provisional President of Africa, the Right Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. Very much looking forward to it. It'll be my first time in Jamaica since, I want to say, 2011.
Yeah, I saw you at the university. You was at the university.
Yes.
I think Michael Barnett was the one who was responsible for that invitation.
That is correct.
And I remember
it's been about 5 years.
I remember that we spoke at the Yoruba Center in South Carolina at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember.
Yes, I remember. That's when we met. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes,
we spoke together at that function there. And
indeed. I think also one of the Jamaican hip hop artists was there, Taris Riley, I believe.
No, man. You remember the Yoruba grounds? There was not a show, you know. It was
right. It was a lecture with you and I, but I think he made a special guest appearance, didn't he? I remember seeing him come through there saying a couple of words. I think.
I don't remember that. But okay. All right. I noticed that you have been traveling a lot. I mean, you know, why? What is happening? What is happening with your travels here now? Because I know you was in West Africa last week, I guess.
Yes.
And you was in South Africa.
Yes.
Where are you now?
Now I'm back home, for lack of a better word, I'll say home.
All right.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where I was born and raised. So I'm back on the home turf. But yes, we was in Senegal.
So what was happening in Senegal?
South Africa.
What was happening in Senegal?
Senegal, a lot of opportunity in Senegal for African people to come back and invest and participate because it is a francophone country, colonized by the French. One of the things we find is that the francophone countries in Africa don't get the same type of attention,
as the British
interest, as the Anglophone countries, and that's something that we're going to have to change within the world of Pan-Africanism. Because I spoke in Paris last year, and that was one of the themes that constantly came up during my visit, was that the Pan-Africanist leadership globally tends to run to the Anglophone countries.
Because of the language, a lot of that is because of the language.
Yes.
Yeah, the language is kind of what separates us a lot of times, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
But we got to overcome it, though.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a lopsided approach.
Definitely. What was happening in South Africa? What was happening in South Africa?
Well, South Africa was hot while we were there, politically hot.
The election.
Yes, the election. And what we saw happen there was historic, because the ANC, African National Congress, the ruling party, lost some major provincial elections. They lost Johannesburg, and I believe they also lost Pretoria.
They lost
so not only did they lose the biggest city, they also lost the ruling city.
Yes.
And many people are crediting the young brother who broke away from the ANC Youth League. And he started the EFF party, and many people are crediting him with the ANC's losses by wooing some of the black vote towards his party. And so now what's going on is that the leadership of the ANC has defied President Jacob Zuma, who did not want them to enter into talks with the young brother, but they have decided on their own, against the president's wishes, to sit down with the young brother and see if they can reach some sort of compromise that allows the two parties to work together or come back together, so they can try to keep black people
a kind of coalition thing.
Yeah, because the Democratic Alliance, which is the white party, they've won some of these provinces, and the Democratic Alliance, they go back to the Union of South Africa. They are the white ones. They are the white racist ruling elite, but they do have a black face, just like in America. They use Obama. Democratic Alliance, they got a black guy who they are using as their puppet. And so something better happen soon, because the way it's looking is that in the next 10 years, white folks will be back in charge of South Africa politically.
Well, it's not far. It's not far at all. I don't really like hear what Winnie Mandela have to say about all of this, And I really love hear what she has to say about it, because I know she was very skeptical about the direction the ANC was going after Mandela. She was very skeptical about it. That is why she was ostracized so much. Even after Mandela, she was very ostracized. I think she's a persona non grata right now in America and Canada, if I'm not mistaken. She's not
very true. There, And in fact, one of the things I respect, that I have to respect about President Jacob Zuma, although I disagree with a lot of what he's done or hasn't done politically and economically, he was the first president of the three democratically elected presidents, President Mandela and President Mbeki being the previous two. He was the first one to really give Winnie Mandela the type of respect that she was entitled to as mother of the nation. President Mandela and President Mbeki really didn't give her much honor at all, but President Zuma saw to it that, she had her own living quarters, her own security, her own escort. It's not the best arrangement, but he did give her a degree
I respect,
of executive recognition. So I respect him for doing that. But going back to your point about the ANC, one of the reasons that they lost, in addition to the formation of the EFF and a young charismatic brother and what he's been able to do, is, as you stated or alluded to, they've become very conservative since taking over the government. In fact, the ANC, in many respects, has almost went 360 degrees.
Yes.
In the way they approach totalitarianism, structural inequality, bias, and disproportionality.
And it starts from the release.
South Africa don't think they're doing nothing for them, Baba Muta. They see them as neo-colonialist puppets. Now, I wouldn't agree with that totally, but that is the sentiment in South Africa right now.
And it starts from the release of Nelson Mandela from prison. As he become the president, that is when it starts. A lot of it. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's what I
agree. I agree. I definitely agree.
Nelson Mandela, just like Obama, pacified the revolution and the spirit to rise up of black people, both in South Africa and in America. Black people's spirit was left domiciled because of these two leaders.
Yeah. And what a lot of people don't understand is that right before the elections in '94 in South Africa, the white ruling elite had Chris Hani
assassinated,
just before the elections, because Chris Hani did not agree with the negotiations and the way in which they were going. And because he was president of Nkantu Wisizwe, the military wing of the ANC, he was prepared to organize his troops again and go back to fighting against the white ruling elite until they came to the table with a proposition that was more accepting and beneficial to the black masses of South Africa. And once he made that declaration, they had him murdered because they felt that they could negotiate with Mandela, but they could not negotiate with Chris Hani. And that also explains why Robert Sobukwe, while they were in prison in Robben Island, he was the only political prisoner who was separated from the others. Mandela and the others were allowed to interact with each other, but Robert Sobukwe was kept totally separate from everyone. And that was because they feared that Robert Sobukwe, if he was allowed to stay around Mandela, he would have influenced Mandela to go hardcore Pan-African nationalism versus that integrationism that the government ultimately embraced.
All right, so give a little, I don't know if you had really prepared what would be your topic in Jamaica at the moment, but I know I don't really like, give a little synopsis of what you're going to talk about coming here, or you don't prepare that yet.
Well, we know that Garveyism is going to be the foundation of the message, but I'm going to link it to the modern day struggles. So In other words, I want to approach it from a perspective that we are in the condition we are in globally as African people because we have abandoned the message and the philosophy of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And in America in particular, you know, as you know, that ever since Mr. Garvey's deportment in 29, most of the leadership and organizations that have sprang up after Garvey have had an anti-African message. If you look at many of them, and I respect all of them for the great work that they've done, but they didn't come with an African ideology.
No.
Nearly every organization post-Garvey had come up with an Asiatic identity, an Islamic identity, a Moorish identity, you know, a Hebrew
African-American identity.
Exactly. But they took us away from Africa for the Africans. And so it's ironic that going into 2017, we're almost 100 years to the first international convention, you know, and it took a century for black people to really see that Garvey was on the right path all along. And that it's time for us to go back to that path. It's the only solution. If we're going to rise as a race, we must rise together everywhere in the world.
I'm going to ask you a two-edged sword question here now. Which one of these two people that run this election you think would be best able to wake up black people out of them slumber if them win the election? Which one of them you think say, if them win, black people will realize how weird a situation them find themselves in now?
I would prefer that the victor be Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump, see, the Democratic Party likes to manipulate black people into the illusion
that everything's okay. Yes.
Whenever we get a Democratic president, because we believe that they are the party for black folks, although there's no evidence to that proof. But whenever we get, or any proof to that evidence, any evidence to prove that, but whenever we get a Democratic president, we stop fighting because we think they are the party of black folks. So I would prefer a Republican president because Republicans are very honest about their opinion of black people. Very honest. Donald Trump is an unapologetic racist. And because of that, I think his method of communication is more conducive to waking up black people than Hillary Clinton. However, I do believe that Hillary Clinton will be the victor. And I say that because her husband was already a president. He's a Bilderberg.
And she's a money foundation. She have all the big man behind her.
She's the choice. And with her being a woman, Muta, here's the thing. With her being a woman, I believe that she would be more effective than even President Obama towards coming into Africa, coming into the Caribbean, coming into Central South America, coming into black countries, and seducing the president into whatever political, economic scheme the American government wants them to accept. I'm very fearful of how much worse we will be in, how much worse of a condition we will be in if Hillary Clinton is elected, because I really believe that she will be able to use her charm, her charisma, and her feminine energy to get a lot out of Caribbean presidents and African presidents.
But we see that already. We see that already over the past 8 years, well, not even 8 years, over the past 4 years, with a systematic drive to militarize African soil. You know, she as a foreign secretary was able to push American military in Africa even much more than Bush himself. You know, and she was responsible. As a matter of fact, she's responsible for the rise of ISIL in Libya and in Syria.
No, without question.
Yes.
In fact, I would argue that ISIS, the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and half of these so-called terrorists that America is fighting are nothing more than creations of the CIA.
Oh, yeah?
They have a long history,
of course,
of creating terrorism to justify their invasion
of countries,
of countries, so they can go in and colonize and steal the mineral resources under the disguise of making the world safe for democracy.
Okay, all right. So you will be here. I see that you will be at the University of the West Indies on the 23rd of August.
Okay, I didn't know that, but looking forward to
it. Yes. I think, Michael Barnett can't have you in a Ocho I don't decide to say, but okay, you got kids at the university. Sorry, at the university in Montego Bay, sorry. It's Montego Bay. You're going to be at the university in Montego Bay.
Okay.
There is a campus of the University of the West Indies in Montego Bay, the Western Jamaica campus.
Gotcha.
So you will be there on the 23rd. The man, they plan out everything for you already. You get planned out.
Okay.
I am
glad to hear that, though. Yeah. Glad to hear that.
Mr. Small will be here too. Professor Small will be here too.
Yes. Baba Smalls. Yes. Sir.
So you're in good company. You're in good company.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned 3. Who's the third speaker, Baba Muta?
He's the head of the new Black Panther Party.
Oh, brother Nzinga.
Yes, Nzinga, yes. He's the head of the
Good brother. Yes, sir.
He will be here also.
All right.
So we're looking forward to seeing you and looking forward to listening to you. I hope that the people them will be appreciative of the effort that IRFM is doing to bring a man like you here to talk to them. Because it's very important. It's very important that people grasp what IRFM is trying to do in relationship to bringing speakers like you here for really solidify this Marcus Garvey push. So we give thanks and just anticipating your return to Jamaica.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Baba. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you. Looking forward to getting back on the ground. It's been 5 years, a long time. Long time.
Definitely.
But I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait for the date to arrive.
Give thanks.
Give thanks. Blessed love.
Yes. That was Umar Johnson. He will be one of the main guest speakers at IRFM annual tribute to Marcus Garvey on the 21st, which is a Sunday, right here in the courtyard of IRFM. And this is partnered with Roots Foundation for IRFM's annual tribute to Marcus Garvey. So we want you to know that is taking place right here on the grounds of IRFM. We continue the journey, because this 21st is a big time, big. It's gonna be different from all the other ones them ever keep. Given that we see the team, I don't know if I want to call them team, I'll Tracy involved in the team too, the A team. Spearheaded by the program manager, director of IRFM, Kabumahatiru, featuring Keshima, Shamara, Tony, Samantha, Gavin Naito. Gavin Naito? No. Oh, you never smoke without fire, That's why Gavin tell me say he want some book for borrow. Them a brainwash him upstairs now. Gavin said, you can't make them some of your kind of book them. I bring one for him and I tell him, so I go and quiz him after I'm done read it. And I'm glad to. It's one of the only person I ever hear say he want to borrow a book from me. Something like happen. When I hear Gavin say he want to borrow a book from me, something like happen. And I feel proud for lending him the book. Very proud, and if you want more, I will lend him it too. Because I never hear nobody don't ask me for borrow a book yet. Never. Yes, so Gavin, enough respect. Still, me not still say it to the A team still. I'll be a big up there. The A team. It's going to be nice. Looking forward to it too. So we perform long with bad already. What am I going like at the first me about this? I refer know if it sell things in them come like Hillary Clinton. Come on, know for sell things. Come, hey, You know, say what I did I sell sunshine in a buckle on a mobile. A tourist in a bite, you know. Cabo come like she used to live on a mobile, you know. She know for sale. She know for sale sunshine in a buckle. Believe you me, when you done, man, you buy not only the buckle of the sunshine, but you ask for all the cloud too. I don't lie, me I tell you. Sometimes I talk to these people, make it so like a joke, muta the biggest joke I know. Me say, you have some man that walk on the beach on a Montego Bay and sell sunshine, Jamaican sunshine in the buckle, and them did that sell it too. Oh, so if them cannot sell sunshine in a buckle, I mean no say Cabo was part of that scam thing down there, sunshine in a buckle. You can't imagine what she can do so when she have the resources to do it. Some serious turn in the earth, you know, that people have to really open their mind and take a stock. There's a time when we talk about Africa, people look at me like, when I'm mad people, when we want to go to Africa, you know, it's a pure starvation down there and bang belly pick me and flying at them mouth and all them something there. Come the 21st century, you know, we say Africa is like a centerpiece right now. No matter which continent you're on, all eyes is on Africa. Because the movement, if you do it sometimes look away, is like you can't stop it again. So when we hear like the embassy in Kingston and say, them not take no more application for the rest of the year. Yes, it's true. The embassy of Jamaica say, them not take no more application for the rest of the year because them is overwhelmed with how much people I tell them about say they will go visit them family in especially New York. Especially New York. Every Jamaican have somebody in New York. If me ask Tracy right now if she have anybody, she will tell me yes. Yeah. See there? Yes. So the embassy is overwhelmed. Them say no more applications will be forthcoming unless it's some special thing. Maybe it's an artist, maybe me get away with it. He can go up there and say, boy, I have a show next month. So they will really facilitate that. But people look like they must suffer more now. I don't understand what is happening in Jamaica. Because it couldn't that there's something happening in America where I push that. I think it's something not happening in Jamaica, I push it. It's not something that's happening in America. Especially given the state of the third world move we are going now with America, you know, like America become a third world country. It's something not happening here. Why the people them are run go over there? And we really have to figure it out, you know, because may I tell you, it's terrible. But the reason why we say that is that I don't know for my lifetime I will see it, but I know say I love see the time when we are saying so now is a normal thing. What is the normal thing we are talking about? That people just take us and say, boy, they want to go to Ghana, they want to go to South Africa, they want to go to Kenya, they want to go to Tanzania, they want to go Africa. Just normally, just normally. Where the plane, the air flight, when people want to go to they say, let's hold on, never call me until him bridging call him and say, Muta, they're on the radio, so you don't call him, you know. And then you basically call me and tell me, boy, Muta, is from me left, yeah. You me come by your radio at the program and all them thing there. Boy, I'm busy. The man say, I'm busy. He can't find 5 minutes to call me until a man tell him on the radio, say, Muta, shout him. Anyway, me and your bridging BSA. And you know, say, we open up where we're home library to BSA for explore. And we call it book them that we recommend to the people them. You can go up online now, YouTube, right now, if you go up online, you see book. Duke BSA Explore Mutabaruka, home library. We want to remind the people them that the Porsche competition, the Marcus Garvey Porsche competition is still on. You know, entries close next week. Yes, the winners will be announced on the 17th. It's Marcus Garvey birthday, which will have a continuation on that day. And we want you to know that you can post, come and deliver it on we know everything about it already. Marcus Garvey poem must include Amy Ashwood Garvey and Amy Jakes Garvey in the poem. Open from the age 1 to 15. Trust me. Can't tell me say a 1 to 15-year-old can't write a poem about Marcus Garvey, no, you know, because we are like a 10-year-old that sing some big people song. You understand? I'm good with it too. Okay. The people them were, and I will know people, I've about 2 people. Still we're omnipresent and nobody don't believe me say I'm omnipresent, you know. Alright, so don't worry yourself, man. With the Pyre FM right now, but trust me, we're already there. You understand? Yes. Reggae Sundance Festival in Holland and Hoven. We say, as we are telling about the African experience and how the Africa wake up, and we say that people know Africa is not like a place where no people just say a Rasta talk about Africa, but Africa is open up to the point where you have Jamaican companies where Africa, you know. Yes, Jamaican companies where decide they're going to set up base in Africa, you know, Ghana and all these places. So it's not a joke thing. So it really feel good to know that things that Rastafari over the years has been saying and has been fighting for and has been fought against for is really manifested in here. You know, I talk to a sister and we are talking about how who that believe say all them elders were gone. Who that believe say them could have really smoke a spliff right now. Just like that, in front of police, I don't feel no way about it. That was unheard of. That is something like tired to lick weed in a bush. Who want to come out and the open. Sung by the man called Jacob Miller years ago. No man not tired to lick weed in a bush again. Even though bush is a nice place to lick it still. Better than a concrete jungle. But the reality is that sometimes you struggle. And just when you give up is when you reach the light at the end of the tunnel. So would I tell the brethren and sisters them, say, continue to struggle, you know. Good must overcome evil, you know. And it might look dismal, you know, it might say, sure, rotted, man. Oh, we have fight so long. It's like a man that tell me, say, boy, muta. A long time you talk to them people, and them stiff-necked, you know. I mean, I say, you know much ones where remove from one stage a level in them consciousness to the next level by then for this program how long. You two was 10-year-old when them just start now. A 30-year-old nearly above 40 you know. And I can tell you say most youth right now we're under 30. Most youth were under 30-year-old you know who have African name. More than likely other program you make them have the African name. Me remember one time years ago me looking at it, me I look for how much youth pass. And when me look how much youth pass, me I say, wait, I with so much African name and where I say, we can't get the cutting edge credit for that. African names. You know we're gonna bring it back? Pan the stepping razor. We're gonna bring back that thing there, you know, African names for today's children. Where we give out African names and the meaning. And when we check a stack, the amount of youth we used to listen to Cutting Edge, a university, and now them gone away from another university in somewhere around the world and can reflect and say, well, you know, yeah, that bridging there. Yeah, man, what heap of them? Email every day we get that from people who used to come there Jamaica and I go school and listen. Now we're still there. So we now go make nothing divert we from where we are deal with. We have to stand right. If it's even the last man standing, and me that, the last man standing, we're not going to make nothing divert we, you know. Because where we are talking about, and we see a whole heap of the things them, and come to a fulfillment, yeah. So we're going to continue the journey and know, say, yes, it's a just cause, it's a liberation cause, it's an African experience, African movement that we are dealing with. that we are dealing with.
Muta.
Blessed man.
Where are you, Papa?
I'm there, man.
Boy.
Boy, you gone, man.
Eh?
A boy, you gone, huh?
Hush. No, so mean. But whole time saying. But I forgot to eat. But I can't reach me hungry. I forgot to stop side of the way. Name John Cross.
John Cross. Oh, I don't get there?
No, I forgot to eat screw. The student toward the teacher apology. About 2 weeks ago when they're at the Greek and Latin business.
Yes.
Yeah, but I couldn't get the call back because I realized
the first time the New Testament written.
Written, yes, but when me the first time when it translate,
okay,
Latin is the first language it translate into from the Greek.
That's why the word Jesus Christ come in it, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, Jesus Christ never that until it translate to Latin.
Yeah.
Latin have its what them call etymological origin from Latin. The Jesus Christ. Jesus, come from the origin come from Latin.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But here what I call about an old still. The little mini xylophone repattern.
Xylophone, should you?
Xylophone repattern, man.
Yeah.
Hey, listen to me, man. You think you want you first you want me then 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, you know, let me go yet.
May I tell you?
You understand me?
Well, you don't let her go that me carry go to studio go record it.
I'm jealous of Muta, say you find.
Never find her, man. They go like Columbus in your work with you know. She did it all the while, you know. She did it all the while, you know. She captivate me with the first.
Why me I tell you say, hey, she bad. But listen to me now. The show that were Tess and Chin didn't mash up was the voice. It's still a go on?
Yeah.
Then link Shaggy and see if Shaggy can put on.
No, we don't put her on that, man. No, we have to, man. No,
but the whole world would have seen them.
No, the world I go see her, man. Trust me, the world I go see her, man. She'll have to go up and voice with the world. But you know what I say now? See, when I say I go get her at a voice training school, we just get a call from up a slide them studio. Bonnie Brown say, bring her come. Then we train her. So, and then Rebel called me and said, she booked for some space, so for Rebel Salute, so you know. Don't worry yourself, man. Don't worry yourself.
Career gone. Everybody
I'm going to make sure she go to school and pass her exam. I'm going to make sure she everybody know this little girl. Yeah, me I'm going to make sure of that. Believe you me.
Believe it or not, I've been invited to debate at the Oxford Union.
What?
In England, Oxford, England,
wow.
with Brother Malcolm X, whose birthday is coming up, Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz, as you know,
yes.
1964. A few months before he was assassinated, Malcolm was invited to debate at the Oxford Union as well. So here I am on the 100th birthday, the centennial of Malcolm X's birth. I'll be debating in that same chamber.
I don't know who in the world could debate with you.
And that's going to be May the 29th that I'll be at the Oxford Union. I don't think it's open to the public. I know some of the brothers and sisters over in the UK was asking if they could attend, but I think it's only open to the scholars of Oxford University.
Will it be broadcast? You know,
I'm not sure.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I'm going to try to get a tape of it, but I just found it very timely.
Yes.
I got my invitation on the centennial, or near the centennial, because I'll be debating 10 days after Malcolm's 100th. But I find that, you know, rather fortuitous that I got that invitation on the centennial of Malcolm's birthday.
That is so befitting. And I don't know who they could get to debate with you. I sure would like to hear that, because I would like to hear what they have to say. I know you're going to come with the truth, but I'd like to hear what they have to say.
And the topic is African colonization.
Wow. Yeah, they're going to be in denial. That's what they're going to do.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a good thing. And then I want to say that I'm very proud and very thankful to all the Africans around the diaspora on the continent, the entire Pan-African universe. 4 days ago, April the 30th, there was a massive global demonstration in support of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso. You know, hands off of Burkina Faso, hands off the Sahel Alliance. And from Jamaica to Johannesburg, to London, to New York, all over the world, Central and South America, brothers and sisters, Canada. They stood in solidarity with our brother Ibrahim Traoré, who I would say is the top Pan-Africanist in the world and the most relevant African leader that we've had in about a half of a century. You know, and the fact that he's under, you know, the age of 60 speaks volumes, not to, you know, besmirch at all the character of our elders, but as you know, Bobby David, the older you get, the more comfortable you get, the less revolutionary you are.
That's right.
And so many of our leaders on the African continent are over the age of 60, and those who are under the age of 50 tend to be egotists, narcissists who only took over the country to serve a selfish agenda. Ibrahim Traoré is much younger than 50, and he's clearly leading the country in the direction of the people's best interest. And what happened a few days ago, Bobby David, was the AFRICOM commander, a House Negro appointed by President Trump by the name of Michael Langley. He made some comments about Burkina Faso and Captain Ibrahim, where he basically said that Captain Ibrahim led a coup, okay, and America shouldn't have any problem with coups because they have financed most of the coups in Africa through the CIA. But anyhow, they said he led a coup and has taken over the gold reserve of Burkina Faso, not for the interests of his people, but for his own selfish aggrandizement. And we know that's not true, Bobby David, because that brother wears the same, you know, type of clothing every day. He eats the same food. He did not take an increase in pay. He lives very modestly. He is very much the reincarnation of Thomas Sankara before him. And for Michael Langley, the AFRICOM general, to point him out and accuse him unfairly and dishonestly of expropriating the resources of his country, you know, that clearly shows you that the CIA has him targeted. He's targeted.
I know that
the purpose of the protest.
I know that Vladimir Putin from Russia says that everybody need to keep their hands off of him, you know, because they are an independent sovereign state, and they can't talk about coming there and arresting him for whatever reason, you know. And he says that Russia is not, you know, extorting them or exploiting them. They just friends with them because they are friends in trade.
Absolutely. And see, historically what America has done is they did it to Thomas Sankara. They did it to Patrice Lumumba. They try to brand you a communist for having a relationship with a communist country. But America has relationships with Saudi Arabia. Are you Islamicist? No, you're not. So why can't you have a relationship with a country who has a different political ideology than your own and not be branded as a follower or flunky of that particular regime? The bottom line is America wants the resources of Burkina Faso. Now that they have kicked France out, you know, France and America are allies. America wants those resources. If France can't get them, America wants them, and America and France are going to work together to try to recolonize Burkina Faso. And to that end, comments were made, I think it was by the Prime Minister of France, basically saying the same thing. And he said that we are not going to give up on our African colonies. We are going to stay there and help them become what they need to be. That was a code word, Bobby, that we are not going to accept Burkina Faso's demand that we leave. Although they're gone, we're going to try to come back in. We're going to try to overthrow him, and we're going to try to put the white supremacist puppet regime back in place. That's what they're saying. So Burkina Faso has to look out for France and America working together to try to recolonize Africa. Because here's the thing, Father David. Most of Africa is under the age of 30. Most of Africa. In fact, I think most of Black America is under the age of 32. And that is a concern for the white power structure of this planet, particularly UK, France, Germany, Britain, and Belgium, because if Ibrahim Traoré and those other two brothers up there, President Goita of Mali and President Chiani of Niger, if that Sahel alliance is effective in influencing and building leaders, strong, strong, you know, brothers who are focused on the best interests of their people, who are not self-serving, that can lead to a continental-wide African liberation struggle, which is what Africa has always needed. Africa never had a continental-wide liberation struggle. They had regional struggles. As you know, Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he allowed a revolutionary army, liberation armies, to come and train in Ghana when he became president. which is one of the reasons they overthrew him. But we've never had a continental-wide revolution, and we've never had a global Pan-Africanist revolution. But I just say all that to say, Baba David, I'm happy for the brothers and sisters who stood up across the world. Many of them are not Pan-Africanists. They have not really studied the philosophy and the greatness of Pan-African philosophy, but they still understood that we were African. And at a time that we have organizations in this country who are trying to influence our young people not to identify as African, who are trying to tell them that they are pretendians or they are Asiatic or they are indigenous to America and all these other lies, it just felt really, really good to see them stand up and recognize that they were African, and it just lets us know that the red, black, and green flag is still in full effect.
I know though that they having a lot of propaganda and publicity about Ibrahim, and it's like I don't understand. I understand, but they're trying to oversaturate him so that people will think that he is a negative when actually he's a positive. Hey, Patrick, how you doing? I see you over there.
I'm doing good.
Good. And I was really insulted when France had the nerve to say that Burkina Faso and Africa should be grateful to France.
It's unfortunate. That is such an unfortunate statement that the president made to the leader and some leaders of Africa, because France pretty much lives on the resources of African countries. They do. And with Ibrahim Traoré, really taking over as he is doing, and with the other two, the Sahel, movement, they are afraid. They're pretty much afraid that things are going to slip off their hands, and they're going to become one of the poorest countries in Europe very, very soon. And that is going to work in their interest. So all those statements, we are far, far, far past the colonial time when we give you everything. Not anymore. It's never going to happen. Not even today.
I know France is talking about Burkina Faso is one of the poorest nations. Well, the leader said, well, if we so poor, why y'all don't want to get out? Why y'all want to just leave us alone?
Well, and why are we so poor? Because of exploitation.
Yes.
Your colonization. And keep in mind, when many of the African countries received independence, and you have to put independence in quotes, but when they received independence, when on their way out the door, France, Belgium, on their way out the UK, on their way out the door, the Dutch, they sabotaged the infrastructure of those countries to make sure that even after all that exploitation, we're going to make sure that you can't even use the infrastructure we built just to benefit ourselves. So they sabotaged the water sources, they sabotaged the railways, they sabotaged the ships, they sabotaged the electricity systems. They made it so you had to start from scratch without nothing, not to mention the neo-colonialist demands that they made. They continued to print the money for most of their African colonies. They continued to handpick the leadership. They continued to, taint the democracy. Like, they have never given their former colonies an opportunity to grow on their own. That's why they assassinated Patrice Lumumba. He said, we don't need you. We know how to do this ourselves. But because he didn't want to continue to be a puppet, same thing with Amilcar Cabral, same thing with Thomas Sankara, the overthrow of Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. They tried to do the same thing with Sekou Touré when they invaded his country, but he was able to successfully repel it. They did it with Walter Rodney. They did it with Maurice Bishop down in the Caribbean. This is what they do. You're going to do it the way we're going to do it, or we're going to unleash a barrage of propaganda that's going to have your own people thinking you're incompetent if they don't know their history. And that's why we have to know our political history, the ancient history of Africa. That's also important to learn. But what I find as I travel around and speak to students, even in college, they don't know the political history of African people. And specifically what I mean by that is I'm looking at 1950 until now. Do you know what has happened for African people and to African people everywhere in the world, wherever they are, from 1950 until now? And extending beyond that, I would say you should know the complete political history of African people from 1900 until now. A lot of our young people know everything about Egypt. They know everything about the pyramids. They know everything about the ancient kingdoms. but they don't know a damn thing about how we got to be where we are now. And if you don't understand how we got to be where we are now politically, you will automatically fall victim to the propaganda. A historically conscious person can never have propaganda used against.
That's true. That is very true. Africans don't know their own history. I think African Americans know African history much better than Africans themselves do. If you ask a Ghanaian some basic Ghanaian history right now, they wouldn't be able to tell you, but they consume everything Europe, they consume everything America, Canada, and France, and they accept those things more than their own history. So that's one of the problems that we have in Africa, that we rarely listen to them.
Patrick, what do you think creates that cultural deficiency in Africa?
It's the propaganda. The propaganda. Because we have actually, even as we detest our own cultures. Our own cultures, we detest them versus the European culture. So if we have this tribal conflict between us, even within the tribes, there are conflicts within us. So it is easy to play that game for us. That psychological warfare for we Africans, very easy to do that with a token of cash, and then an African person is against the fellow African person.
Wow.
And we love everything European. When you go to Ghana right now, they're doing a lot of stuff that you'd be like, how are these people doing this? What we were not used to doing stuff like that. But
and in this age of information, it would seem like more people are reading now and reading more about the history that is trying to be minimized, but they could read on their own. Everything, all information is available today.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing, too. It's not just about the information. It's about the indoctrination. And what we mean by that is the repeated exposure and the repeated enforcing of the information so that it becomes a part of one's unconscious, and therefore it unconsciously affects the way you think, feel, and behave. In other words, we have to push the information into the working unconscious. So, in other words, if I just give you a book and you read it, now a lot of people will be affected by reading a book one time. But if you're trying to indoctrinate the people, you want to condition the people, that requires a socialization system. And so you got to have a socialization system. That a school system can be a socialization system, but it tends not to be in our communities because our children are not taught who they are, and they're not taught who they are by people who are African themselves. So if you take the school district of Philadelphia, you have the 1-credit African-American history course that they do here. I think they get it in the 10th grade, but it's only 1 credit. So the other 11 years in civics and history class, you're taught the lives of America, the greatness of America, the greatness of the people who enslaved your ancestors. And then we're going to give you 1 class in the 10th grade after you've already been indoctrinated. And that class is likely to be taught by somebody who doesn't even look like you or care about you. So what good is it going to do? So the information is only as good as the person teaching it. And the person teaching it, no matter how good of a teacher they are, will only be as effective as the system that supports them. You got to have a system where the kids are taught who they are every day. Look at China. In the Chinese schools, those children are taught who they are every day. It is a part of every lesson. It is a part of every text. They are taught to be proud to be Chinese. And so what you see now with Donald Trump and the executive order he signed to make it illegal to teach the true history of America, he's trying to do the same thing. He wants to reinforce the minds of white kids to believe that they are superior, that they basically save black people. He doesn't want the truth of America to be told, because if you teach the truth of America to America's children, it'll be hard to be proud of something like that. So what he's going to do is he's going to distort the truth by keeping it out of the books. But again, as we had this conversation last time, black people can teach their own children their own history. We don't need white people to do it. But what is the one thing that slavery and colonization did to us as a people? It made us completely indifferent to controlling the dynamics and direction of our community. We do not care about controlling the dynamics or the direction of our community. In other words, black people are not interested in power. We're the only people in this country who are not interested in power. We don't want to dominate anything. We don't want to control anything. We don't want to create our own systems. We just want to subsist off the benevolence and goodwill of whites and non-blacks. And so that is that until we liberate African consciousness, which is what we're talking about. But again, you got to socialize, because we all know people. I know people. You know people. We all know people who know African history, but they are still sellouts. I can name at least 10 people who know African history well, and they still work against the interests of African people. So it's not enough to just know it. It has to be put into your spirit. It has to be internalized. It has to be ritualized. And that's why you got to have a socialization system.
It has to be believed. But I believe it's time for us to go to a commercial break. And we will come back. We will continue the conversation here in the studios of WURD with Dr. Umar, Ifatunde Johnson, Patrick, and Jadu, calling them, zooming in from an undisclosed location. And I'm David Barnes, photo man for you too. We'll be right back. And we're back live here in the studios of 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live worldwide at WURDradio.com. On the phone line with us is Dr. Umar Ifatunde Johnson and Patrick and Jadu. And we have so many things to talk about today. We spent the first quarter talking about Burkina Faso and the challenges that they have there. Before we move to another segment, Doctor, so what do you think is going to happen? The brother's getting so much promotion, publicity right now. I think they're trying to oversaturate him. So what do you think is going to happen? Well, because, they've tried to assassinate him like 13 times already.
Yes, that's mostly the French. CIA as well. I think because of the outpouring of love and support that he got on April 30th, keep in mind, no other Pan-Africanist, even the great ones, have had that type of a public demonstration in their support before Ibrahim Traoré. And that's because there was no social media to get the word out in the states of Nkrumah or Lumumba, or Cabral. We didn't have social media then, so they could not coordinate it as well as the public demonstration was coordinated in support of Captain Ibrahim Traoré. So I personally think that the power structure is going to back up, and they're going to re-engineer. They're going to rethink this. They're not going to stop. But, so, he has to be careful, and I'm sure he will. And we have to stay adamant that we're not going to tolerate it. But what they cannot afford is for him to be overthrown, God forbid, and then that sets off a reaction in Africa and a reaction amongst African people in the diaspora that destabilizes America, Belgium, France, and the UK's other foreign agendas and interests that they have around the world. In other words, the one thing that's given them the most fear, that if we do this and it is exposed that we did this, then this could affect other colonization efforts that we have in process in South America, Central America, the Caribbean, every country's in Africa. So this could start a domino effect that could undermine their influence in Africa and amongst black people around the world. So they have to think this one through, because there's more African people in the world, way more African people in the world than Caucasians. Now, although they may have the firepower, we have the numbers. And I'm sure they don't want a direct conflict on that level with blacks, because remember, the goal is to get the resources of Africa. So you ain't dropping no atomic bombs because you'll destroy the resources that you need. So the benefit of African soil is that the colonizer doesn't want to go into a true nuclear war situation, because that would basically, nullify his whole purpose for being over there anyway, which is the resources. So I think that demonstration 4 days ago really, really, really is going to make Donald Trump and the other allied forces think twice about what they do and how they come at Burkina Faso, which means they're going to have to use somebody within the inner circle. And we all know those stories. Malcolm X birthday, coming up, Dr. King. We know every great leader we had. Marcus Garvey. They was all set up side. And so he's going to have to be really, 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 really careful about the Judas factor.
That's right. Well, when you talked about support, Nelson Mandela had a global support, but did that really make a lot of difference for South Africa?
Well, in a way it did, because remember, South Africa began to struggle because of the sanctions that was put on her by countries around the world. So that definitely played a role in Nelson Mandela's release. Now, I think that the apartheid regime was going to release him anyway, because they needed somebody who could stop the South African youth from rebelling in the streets. Because if Nelson Mandela doesn't get out of prison, and this is a big reason why a lot of our South African brothers and sisters don't really see him as a complete hero, because he really stopped the military, the black boots on the ground military, the Unkonto Sizwe, the spear of the nation. He really stopped the military, the People's Army, from taking back South Africa. If Mandela doesn't get released, when he got released, I believe black people would have took South Africa back. And that's why a lot of South Africans don't see Mandela as a hero. They see him as a distraction from the liberation agenda that was already in play.
Wow.